Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I extend to you a very warm welcome to today's webinar titled Software Defined Traffic Engineering with Ciena's Adaptive IP, an initiative by ettelecom.com and Ciena. For today's session, we have with us Ramanand Bhutada, Consultant, Regional Field System Engineering, Ciena, India. Mr. Bhutada is a networking and telecom veteran with over more than 14 years of experience in the telecom industry. He works as a consultant for Sierra's domain controller and Blue Planet network automation portfolio in India as business development and solutions architect. In his previous roles, he has worked in a variety of technical roles as operators and network equipment providers. Mr. Budada has been instrumental in the design, architecture, and deployment of some of the largest optical transport networks in India. Since last few years, he has been actively helping the telecom industry adopt next generation networking technologies enabled by SDN, NFV, microservices, and closed loop network automation solutions. Welcome, Mr. Budada.
Thanks, Vaishaki.
Next, we have with us Nihar Panda, Head Business Development and Solution Architecture, IP and Network Automation, Sienna, India. Mr. Panda is a networking and telecom veteran with more than 20 years of experience in the IT and telecom industries. He leads Sienna's packet networking and Blue Planet network automation portfolio in India as Head of Business Development and Solutions Architecture. In his previous roles, he has worked in a variety of technical and business leadership roles of operators, network equipment providers, and component manufacturers. In the past, Mr. Panda has been instrumental in the design, architecture, and deployment of some of the largest data networks in India built over Metro Ethernet and IP/MPLS infrastructure. Since last few years, he has been actively involved in helping telcos adopt next generation networking technologies enabled by SDN, NFV, microservices, and closed loop network automation solutions. Welcome, Mr. Panda.
Thank you, Vaishaki. Thank you.
So with no further delay, let's start off with today's webinar. We welcome our attendees to share your questions with us in the Q&A section as the online webinar progresses. Towards the end of the webinar, we'll open the platform for our speakers to answer your questions. To give a background of today's webinar, growing digital adoption among businesses and consumers alike are setting new bars for network users and visitors. Networks must now be shaped in such a way that it has the scalability and flexibility to cater to inflating traffic. Traffic engineering thus plays a very vital role in optimizing IP/MPLS networks by redirecting traffic through the most efficient routes. However, traffic engineering can be riddled with certain critical challenges if not addressed at the go. To delve deeper into this subject, we have Mr. Panda, who will be sharing a presentation with us on software-defined traffic engineering with Ciena's adaptive IP. With that, I hand it over to you, Mr. Panda.
Thank you. Thank you all for joining. And a very warm welcome to software-defined traffic engineering as a subject today. So in the next half an hour, what I'm going to do is take you through this following, right? We will spend very quick few minutes on the traffic engineering and IP, the current lay of land, and then we'll spend some time understanding what do I mean, or what is Ciena's vision, and what is our implementation level on software-defined traffic engineering. We'll spend then a few minutes understanding how do we deploy segment routing, traffic engineering with Ciena's adaptive IP solution, followed by a demonstration on the same by Ramanand. Okay. So before I delve in straight into the subject, I wanted to draw a balance of traffic engineering in real life versus traffic engineering in IP. Now, this is what traffic engineering looked like, a decade back. I would say, let's say 5 to 10 years back, right? Primarily because it is based on IGP best path routing, right? So like in real life traffic engineering, in IP also, what we used to do is decide the entire path from point A to point Z by using IGP's best path algorithm, right? Shortest path find first SPF algorithms, be it ISIs, be it OSPF, or any other routing protocols. Now, different routing protocols use different algos, right? Some use best hop, some used combination of different matrices, starting from bandwidth to delay, to hops and so on. Now, the issue was, since we depended on the best effort basis, best path, first routing algorithms, more often than not, we landed up in traffic jams, right? Like what happened in the IP networks, the congestions. In a particular link, we always get a suboptimal routing. Initially, when networks were, small, this all served great. But the moment networks started, becoming bigger and bigger, this became a bottleneck in terms of managing and controlling the traffic across the IP networks, as in case of the real world traffic. The complete reliance was based on the SPF algorithms of IGP at that time, like what we used to do in our real life, traffic, based on our sixth sense, and we used whatever traditional navigation schemes, whatever we had in our disposition at that point of time. So the end result was an unpredictable traffic engineering or traffic flow in the network. And of course, that led into delays and chaos in the network. Now, this is purely based on default IGP so far as IP networks are concerned. Now, since then, for few last years, at least in the last 3 to 4 years, traffic was a bit more disciplined, right? At least if it doesn't look this beautiful, but it is much more better than what it used to be. And the reason being, we adopted something like RSVP TE, right? So RSVP TE was the, or rather I would say is still a traffic engineering protocol that serves in the IP networking domain. So what the difference was, instead of having IGP deciding the end-to-end path, right, we depended on another signaling protocol like RSVP to help us optimize our traffic flow in the network. And the way we did it is to find the best path using RSVP signaling mechanism based on different constraints and define those paths across the network. I mean, pushing those intelligence across the network, across the different nodes in the network. So it's like when I started my journey from my house to point J, I would pick up my mobile, run a Google Map or Waze, and find my best path to the to the destination. That helped in eliminating pathfinding when we landed up in a junction or when landed up in a place where we don't know where to go, because we already had decided a path, right, using such mechanisms like RSVP TE. Now, RSVP TE further evolved into something we called SRT. I won't say it's an evolution of RSVP. SR is a different concept altogether. But from a traffic engineering point of view, I won't say the next, it's already started a trend of SR-based traffic engineering in the IP networking. Another advantage with such traffic engineering tools was that instead of just finding a path from point A to point Z at the starting point itself, we can have a centralized view of the entire path across the map of the traffic, or in an IP network per se, the entire network, right? We have the visibility of where traffic is smooth, where traffic, where the speed is high, where the speeds are low, where we are experiencing high delay, where we are, experiencing packet losses, and so on and so forth. Now, having that centralized view helps us in deciding a better optimum path for or traffic, whether it is IP traffic, to flow from point A to point Z. Now, this kind of traffic engineering is what we're going to is what's happening now. For last 5-6 years, people have been deploying RSVP TE on and off, but landed up in certain optimization issues, scaling issues with RSVP and hence segment routing. We'll spend the next few minutes on segment routing. Now, what did segment routing bring as compared to RSVP? First of all, it optimizes, it simplifies, and improves the scalability of IP networks, or from a traffic engineering perspective, particularly IP MPLS networks. Um, RSVP TE by itself is a signaling protocol, right? It's like IGP itself. So it of course it depends on IGP's traffic engine database, but it still has to run a signaling node to node, or source to destination, in order to find a best path defined by certain constraints. Whereas segment routing does not run any signaling protocol or does not depend on any other additional protocol, right? It solely depends on IGP, whatever IGP's best path recommendation, it takes account into that and allows us to define end-to-end path either by explicitly or dynamically using IGP, fed by different constraints such as bandwidth, delay, and so on. Okay, so the effect is we are reducing our a huge load of state in the network, which means that in RSVP case, every node has to maintain a state of the protocol, right? Our state of the LSP, let's say LSP is the tunnel. Whereas in a segment routing case, we don't maintain any state anywhere except the ingress node, except the node that is originating the traffic. Now that's a big fat gain so far as segment routing is concerned. The end-to-end best path is computed either by ingress. So ingress router, which is the originating router for a traffic, either can calculate the path by itself, using SR native algorithm, or it can the best path can be computed by a centralized path computation engine, which is a piece of software, could be sitting somewhere in the network, which has the end-to-end view of the network. Now, this is also completely aligned with the software-defined networking core concepts here, right? Um, as I said, either can be the path again can be computed dynamically relying on IGP or can be explicitly enforced in the ingress node through policies. So these are some of the technical advantage at summary level. From a business standpoint, of course, with traffic engineering, we optimize the utilization of the resource in the network, and in effect, we optimize the costing structure in the network, right? Our operational and capital expenditures, our costing in the network. The operating cost and the time to market substantially gets enhanced because I have freed resources. I have optimized my resource utilization in the network. So definitely I can possibly introduce more and more services quickly into the network without worrying about how do I have to traffic engineering from across tens of thousands of nodes, right? So that's another flexibility that we got because of the simplification of the protocol itself. Scaling, RSVP, of course, was not too scalable. And in our experience, we have seen people having like 650 or 700 TLSPs give up managing that network, right? Because it's too complex. We need boatload of people managing the traffic engineering, whereas for RSVP, right? Whereas in segment routing, possibly, a simple software could do the entire job, right? And from a scaling angle, RSVPT, as I mentioned earlier, needs the entire state to be managed, whether it is a ingress router, whether it is a transit router, or it is an egress router. In every scenario, every node has to maintain the state for those LSPs. And that quickly results into a n squared issue, right? So you have the complete mess of LSPs between nodes. And we get away from the scaling issue in SR because in SR, no other router is maintained to is required to maintain the state of the LSP except the ingress, except the originating router. Okay, so these are some of the business benefits that we get from segment routing, particularly from a traffic engineering point of view. Now, just to bring on because it's not a small debate as such, RSVP versus segment routing based TE. There are people who favors RSVPT even today, and there are, of course, people who would like to move quickly to segment routing based on traffic engineering. Now, logically and rationally, if you have to decide as to which protocol that fits best into the network, it's better to look at some of the matrices between these two protocols, right? So from a traffic engineering point of view, of course, RSVP TE it was natively meant to do traffic engineering. If you have known, RSVP is a very old protocol, as a very legacy protocol, and known as resource reservation protocol. So that itself suffices to say that RSVP was designed to do traffic engineering. It has a much more tighter control over the traffic engineering mechanisms, right? And it can possibly look at every matrix that is possible in an IP network to conserve and to optimize. And SRTE, of course, lacks a little bit than RSVP TE when the tighter control aspect is concerned, like particular bandwidth, because there is no signaling, no state is maintained anywhere. So guaranteeing SLA becomes little more inferior when compared to RSVP TE. Doesn't mean it can't be done, but it is inferior. However, SRT brings on boatload of other advantages, including offering different knobs to optimize traffic engineering, including flexible algorithms where I can customize every algo that I want or every type of traffic engineering that I want into the network. Uh, New innovations, because this is the protocol right now for traffic engineering. A lot of innovations happening around SRTE. Scaling aspects definitely much better than RSPPTE. I just gave you one example of N squared LSPs, but beyond that also it has a lot of other ways to optimize the usage of the protocol or usage of the mechanisms that it offers. And lastly, it also offers a dedicated path computation engine, right? We can have a centralized PCE that could manage the entire end-to-end traffic engineering on the ingress node's behalf or on behalf of the operator itself. The second and important one is ECMP, equal cost multipath. Now, in RSVP no matter how much we wanted to leverage this beautiful benefit of equal cost multipath technology, but RSVP still could not be adapted to use this efficiently. Although there are vendors, there are technologies that are available, but either it is too complex and few vendors even don't support it even today. Whereas segment routing offers it natively. That means segment routing can take or can leverage the ECMP benefits natively, unlike RSVP-TE. SDN driven, RSVP-TE being a little older protocol, that's we have seen RSVP-TE deployment starting all the way from 2005-6 times, right? Now, if I look at those times, SDN was not even a concept, right? It only came to existence say, beyond after 2012-13 and started maturing only lately, right? Only recently. So segment routing is completely aligned with the core SDN concepts. We can term it as the programmability that it offers in terms of defining my preference of paths and policies, whereas RSVP-TE is still can use some of the SDN concepts, can align with some of the SDN concepts, but not completely. Okay. The fourth is high availability. Now, this is being a very contentious subject for service providers as to how do I maintain high availability across my logical tunnels or LSPs across, when I have mission critical traffic going through them. Now, of course, RSVP-TE offered FRR, which is fast reroute to protect link and node, but it could never ensure that 100% coverage across the network. Okay, so I could do either link or node. There are bypass and there are node protections offered by FRR, but I couldn't do both together. And also, it many a times it resulted into suboptimal routing. Whereas topology independent loop free alternative as offered by segment routing ensures that we get 100% coverage that is also loop free from a high availability point of view. The last one, V6, of course, we know V6, although it has not yet been so largely deployed, but it's not too long before we see the entire networks are V6 capable and V6 deployed. So RSVP-TE again is not completely adapted with V6. There are not many vendors we've seen that support even RSVP-TE for V6. Even if it is supported, again, it will be typically a dual stack mode where you have V4 and V6 running, whereas SR can leverage V6 for its entire forward path or for forwarding plane. That means we don't even need MPLS, right? We can use the V6 forwarding plane for and use segment routing on top of it. Now these are some of the advantages that we think are dominating the inclination of SRTE from the operators today. Okay. Let me spend a few minutes in explaining what do we mean by software-defined traffic engineering. Now, let's take a typical example of a service provider network. Now, this is oversimplified. No way this is how, this is the scale or this is how networks are deployed. But I've just tried to oversimplify so that the concepts can be demonstrated here. Now, typically, this is like a service provider network with a core and two access networks, aggregating on the core. So this is the IGP topology could be OSPF or ISIs. You pick your choice, right? And Of course, it is hierarchical in the sense that you could have different areas, aggregating into area 0 if it is OSPF. If it is ISIS, you have L2 in the middle, the core area, and L1 on the both sides. Okay, so multi-area in short. Now, a typical deployment, the most simplified deployment of SR, even if for traffic engineering, is something like this, right? So if I have to choose a path from A to Z, right, which is of high bandwidth, okay, and my constraint right now, for example, is high bandwidth. It could be also low latency. For the sake of our discussion, let's say the constraint is bandwidth. Now, if you look at A to Z, the nodes that the LSP or the tunnel is A, B, D, F, G, and I, and then J, right? And uh, basic IP knowledge would tell us that this is the path even IGP would pick up, right? IGP would pick up this path only because of the lower cost. And of course, the number of hops are the minimum as well. Now, when I have to run a segment routing and we want to depend on IGP instead of doing complicated traffic engineering calculations, we can just pick up the IGP best path and can have that embedded into my SR, tunnels. Okay, I define my SR tunnel depending on IGP. Now I just enable SR on every node. That's all I need to do, and leave the ingress node, that is A, to decide the path based on IGP. And as we saw, by default, it will pick up the path and the blue line that is shown in the diagram. Now, the level imposition, because it's using the MPLS data plane, is going to be simple, right? I have the label, which is basically mapped to the prefix ID of my destination, which is 16010, if you see there. Now, this is picked up from a SR global block, level global block, which could be arranged from 16K to 23K, anything, right? And this is globally unique. Now, J distributes that level through IGP itself to all the nodes across, right? And so A knows that 160110 maps to the prefix ID of J. So it just have the payload, and the top level is going to be the prefix ID of my destination. And this is passed as it is because this is a single segment. This is treated as a single segment here. This is passed as it is between node to node. No other node in transit, that is B, D, or for that matter, G, is maintaining any state of the path. The path state is only maintained by A. Okay. Now, this is the simplest deployment of SR in the network. Going one step forward, where we want to deploy policy-based traffic engineering with SR. But however, we don't want to have a strict traffic engineering unlike we used to do in RSPPT. That is by defining every node, every segment in between to do traffic engineering. What we can still do is we can write a policy saying that, of course, A, you pick up a path that is best as decided by IGP. However, please ensure that the path has to have the highest bandwidth in the network, right? And we can also say that pick up a color affinity, which means it has to go through certain node, like say F. It has to go through F. We can say that as well. So it is a mix of picking up the best path algo, that is decided by IGP, and also adding constraints and matrices on top of it. So that kind of brings best of both worlds to us. But in this case, if I do that, as you can see, the path followed could still be the same, because this is, of course, the highest bandwidth link. And I haven't shown a color affinity here. Color affinity is we decide certain constraints in the path where we can say that, okay, this path has to have, say, node D, and has to have this interface, and we can say this interface falls in the blue color, and can map my policy accordingly, can define my policy accordingly, that the path has to go through D and follow this link. Now, those kind of affinities can also be imposed on the policy. Okay, so this is kind of a little bit intelligent way of doing traffic engineering than the previous one, of course, depending entirely on the IGP best path algorithm. However, in large networks where you don't need strict traffic engineering, can still be loose, like what you used to do in RSVPTE, like loose explicit route objective, we used to call them loose EROs and strict EROs. We can still follow the same philosophy to deploy SR, right? In the earlier case and this case as well. Going one step forward, so the level imposition mechanism in this case also remains same, doesn't change anything because we are still depending on IGP. And of course, we are adding constraints, but we are not changing labels here. We are not adding any other prefix or segments here. In the next case, where we wanted to have a strict traffic engineering deployment equivalent to what used to do RSVP, right? Where we have to define, or we want to define a very strict path between point A and point J, right? Then we have to, and we want to ensure that traffic always flows through B, D, F, G, I, J. Then we have to ensure that we define those nodes in the RSVP policy as prefix IDs. And additionally, we can also add the links into the policy. We want to ensure that the packet does not stray beyond the links that we want it to traverse on. Okay, that's also possible. Now, in the simplest scenario, what I have done here, we have done only one node, that is D, which is colored here gray. We wanted the traffic to follow the best path, but at the same time, it has to go through D and the link between D and F. We want to ensure that. Now, in segment routing traffic engineering scenarios, how do we do that? So this link is defined by something we call as an adjacency SID, right? That interface of D, which is connecting to F, is defined as an adjacency segment ID. And the prefix itself is also a SID. The D prefix of D is also a SID. Now, every prefix and adjacency SID is represented by a label. So for example, the D is labeled as 16004 and the adjacency SID is labeled at 24001, right? 240,001. Now, in our level imposition mechanism, when we want to define this path from A to J, we just go to A, we define this path. Hey, you know what? You decide a path based on IGP, but however, ensure that the packet has to traverse through D and this link. So for that, I added a label, which is the bottommost level, which is my destination level of 16010. Then add the adjacency SID level, which is 24001. And then we have the top level, which is 16004. Now, A knows how to reach 16004 based on its best path IGP. Once it comes to D, D calculates, or D knows it has to send the packet over the adjacency SID, which is 240K1. So it has to send the packet over that link. When it comes to F, F knows now how to reach to J via the shortest path as defined by IGP. So that is how we ensure traffic engineering and optimize the level impositions also. You have, of course, you have the option of defining every node and every link as a label and as a strict route object while you're defining the path. But in every practical and deployment scenario, we won't be doing that possibly, right? We want to ensure a path, but we don't want to overload the ingress router in terms of the number of labels it can support. Now, these are primarily three typical deployment scenarios. Of course, there are other knobs, like you can have inclusion, exclusion of links, of nodes. You can define Anycast, labels so that you do perfect load balancing. You can have TILFA, all those different whistles and bells are also available. But these are primarily some very simplistic deployment scenarios so far as SRT is concerned. All right, now what is software defined traffic engineering in all this, right? Now, so far we have seen a very simplistic scenario of 10 nodes. We are deciding a T tunnel, and possibly with all our knowledge, we can see, and bare eyes, we can see, okay, this is the lowest cost, and hence, okay, packets should traverse this way. Imagine this network is of 10,000 nodes, 15,000 nodes, multiple IGP areas, multiple domains of IGP, right? Multiple autonomous systems. How do we then do it manually? Is it even possible? Right? And that is the reason why we don't see lot of RSVP, whether it is RSVP or even if it is SAR, deployed across large networks, by the ways that I just explained. But what is required here is the following, right? First, we need to decide whether we want to do a centralized path computation or distributed path computation. Now, distributed path computation is exactly what we've seen just now, because there will be edge nodes, or what we call provider edge nodes, Ps, scattered across the network, or across the network, right? And every P node now becomes a point where traffic engine tunnels needs to be originated. Now, this kind of gives the phenomenon of distributed, traffic engineering. The other idea is, okay, I really don't have the breadth of time or effort to do this traffic engineering manually, but what I can do is I can have a centralized piece of software sitting centrally, which can do all the math for me and can give me the optimized path across the network, okay, dynamically. Now, this is the centralized approach. And this is where we see the industry is heading today. And this is what our vision of adaptive IP at Ciena, okay? And the next and ultimate goal would be, okay, we have managed to do traffic engineering. We have, ensured that we are utilizing our resources optimally. But what happens when you have events in the network? What happens when we have a congestion, in a link that is actually serving a traffic engineering tunnel? What happens? Latency is increased over that link. What happens that link fails? Right? How do we take care of all the scenarios? Now, of course, there are ways in IP itself that helps us to do auto rerouting and so on. But then when we're talking about 10 to 15,000 nodes and a large telco network, this is not going to be enough, right? So in these cases, what we say is closed loop automation, in this sense that somehow we have to have the events relayed to a centralized controller. Controller can then have that understanding or that intelligence to query for a best path, and can influence the flow of traffic in scenarios, in these scenarios, in these event scenarios, right? Now, a simple demonstration would be, okay, I put up a PCE or path computation engine centrally, which obviously has the entire visibility of the network, right, end to end. And then uh, it also has the ability to do path computation with respect to the constraints that we want it to follow. Then we have a centralized SDN controller, or it could be an orchestrator. When I say orchestrator, simple meaning is a service orchestrator, where we define or templatize our services for path provisioning. Now, once an event is detected, so the event is then relayed into the SDN controller. SDN controller, based on the business rules, understands it has to do something, with respect to that event. It could be a path rerouting, or it could be bringing down that path so that traffic could auto reroute to another path, something, right? And it concerts the PCE to find the best possible path, and then goes back and implements that into the network. Now, translating this into the Ciena adaptive scenario, this is how it would look like. Now, bottom, what you see is a typical network where you have, an ingress PE where traffic is designed from A to J, okay, with the prefix ID is matched to labels starting from 1601 all the way to 1606. And you see on the left the level stack that is defined there. So you have payload and you have a service level. Service level could be L3 VPN or L2 VPN, whatever service that you're running. On top of that, you have your destination prefix level. And then you have a segment ID, right? Segment ID is 205. Now you can see that node D has the segment ID of 205, defining this link, okay, between D and H, right? When the packet originates from 1601, it is predefined that the packet should follow, the path as IGP's best path. It goes to D, which is 1604, and follows the segment ID that is 205 to the destination 1606. On the top, what you're saying is the abstraction layer, right? Now let's compare, or let's map it to the earlier slide that I just spoke about, right? ROA, what you see here is a route optimization and assurance tool from Ciena Adaptive IP portfolio. Now, this is nothing but it includes network monitoring, service monitoring, and path computation engine, okay, for IP MPLS network, whether it is RSVP or segment routing. Then ROA also works in conjunction with MCP, which is Ciena's SDN controller, or we can term it as Ciena's NMS, IP NMS, which is managed control and plan. And besides that, what you see is a multi-domain service orchestrator. So precisely these three components, or either of these two, ROA with MCP or ROA with MDSO, can orchestrate the closed loop automation scenario that we have just spoken about or we discussed, right? So MDSO or MCP are the SDN controllers, which influence the paths in the network, which enforces or configures the network, discovers the network. ROA is the PC, which also discovers the network from an IGP or IP standpoint, and is able to compute a path end to end, a P to another P, be it multi-domain, be it multi-area. Okay. Now, here is a simple example of how closed loop automation is performed in a, CNI adaptive IP scenario. Okay, as I said, on this is the kind of network that we've just seen. We have 16002, 16001 are the P's, and then the right side we have the egress P's. ROA acts as the path computation engine and the centralized controller that I've been talking about. MDSO MCP act as the enforcer, being SDN controllers or orchestrators for that matter. And the policy subsystem that you see is nothing but a engine where we define this traffic engineering policies, which is part of the MDS or the orchestrator tool. Okay. Now let's see what happens. Now this is the initial link. Okay. And we detect that there is a congestion. So how do we detect there is a congestion? Now ROA, being a network monitoring tool in this case, also detects network performance matrices, right? Also monitors those. So via real-time telemetry, we understand that link is congested based on the threshold that we had defined. It has actually overshot that threshold. ROA, the controller, informs the orchestrator or the SDN controller that there is a violence happened in that link. Now controller knows if in this scenario it has to do something, and that doing something is, of course, it has to bring down that existing tunnel and create a new tunnel that would have the desired SLS met, right? So ROA then requests the PCE, which is number 6, for a new path. The PCE responds back with the new path to the controller. The controller further takes that new path and configures that ingress PE, okay, with the new path. Now the new path is shifted to another link. Now this is a typical, a very simplified closed loop automation scenario. Okay, I think I'll take a pause and see if we can run a poll if we have some time, Vaishaki.
We have few poll questions with us today. So may we have the first poll questions, please? Okay, so the first poll question goes out: which is the primary driver of traffic engineering and SR-enabled MPLS network? So the options are differentiated SLA, optimum utilization of network resources, example BW, path programmability, efficacy through PCE-assisted computation of paths across MU, simple and less state overhead in the network. With that, can we have the second question, please? Okay, so moving on to the first question only. So the first option, differentiated SLA, it has been selected by 6%. Optimum utilization of network resources has been selected by 31%. Path programmability has been selected by 38%. Efficacy through PC assisted computation of paths across has been selected by 13%. And the last, simple and less state overhead in the network, has been selected by 13%. So can we move on to the second question, please? So our second question goes out: what is the most prevalent traffic engineering deployment today, centralized or distributed? So centralized has got 27% vote and distributed has got 73% vote. And with that, we move on to our last poll question. So the last poll question goes out: closed loop automation driven by software driven traffic engineering is an imperative. Agree. The second option is partially agree, and the third option is disagree. And here we have the answers. So agree has been selected by nearly 75%. Partially agree has been voted by 25%, and disagree 0. So with that, we end our poll questions here, and over to you, Mr. Panda, again.
Yeah, thank you. And I think the results were pretty much in alignment as what we think at Ciena. And I think the whole industry is thinking the same way. So I think we're happy that everything is aligned here. Now, quickly, I'll just briefly, explain you the demo that Ramanand is going to do. So over to you, Ramanand. what we have just discussed as closed loop automation, Ramanand would run quickly through a demo that exactly demonstrates the closed loop automation on latency. Now, what you see here is a network of multiple, vendors. So we have Juniper here, we have Ciena IP gears, from the 5.1 family, and we have also a mix of brownfield deployment. That means we are running LDP on the left, which is on the far left side. And we also have implemented binding sets, and Ramanand would explain as we go through. This typical, we're trying to simulate, or we have tried our best to simulate a typical service provider domain where this would be the normal, right? You have multiple different protocols, multiple domains, and multiple, technology or multiple vendors, being in play. So over to you, Ramanand, for the demo.
Yeah, thanks, Nihar. So as explained by Nihar, right, so I'm going to present the demo. So what I'm trying to show here is this is the ROA screen. And ROA is recording the network by doing the IGP and BGP adjacencies. So let us go through the demo. The network which is showing on the center of it, the core network, which is running on ISIS level 2, while the node which is shown on the left hand side in purple is running on ISIS level 1, while the nodes which are showing on the orange on the left hand side are showing are also running on ISIS level 1. Now here you can see that, as Nihar explained, we are doing the connectivity with the Juniper router as well, integration with Juniper router, and we have Ciena 5170 in the middle, right? So on the left hand side of this router, we are running LDP domain, while on the right hand side of this router, we are running the SRMPLS domain end to end. Now this 5173 Ciena router is acting as the LDP to SR mapping server, and we are running SR mapping server on top of it, right? So for today's demo, I'm going to show you two use cases. One is latency-based optimization, where ROA calculates the route based on policy, and TILFA use case, right? So for today's demonstration, let's first look at the topology discovery by using ROA. So I'm going to pinpoint you about the PE routers that we are using for this demo, right? So we have 4 PE routers here, which is Ciena 5162, then Ciena 5170, Ciena 5162 1 and 2. So these are the P routers, while the 5162 1 is acting as a route reflector. So we are creating a BGP adjacency with this router, right? So when I click on this router, it shows up a screen. So this indicates that we have a IGP as well as a BGP adjacency. So let us click at on the ISIS adjacency here, right? And it will show you the further details about this router. So as you see that this router type is L1, L2 because it is part of level 2 in the core and level 1 on the left hand side, right? It also shows you the loopback IP address of this router. Then it shows sRGB range, right? This essentially means that we have enabled the SR MPLS on this router using ISIS extensions. And the next thing that it shows is the node SID. The node SID ID is 4, so the prefix ID for this node is 16004. And we can see that IP prefix learned with this ISIS instance, right? So let's look at the BGP adjacency that we are doing with this RR router, right? So here you can see, as I explained, we have 3 BGP pairs, and then we have prefixes learned through this BGP pairing. And we also can see that there are VPNs which are running in the network being learned by this RR. So if I click on the VPN, you can see that these are the VPN circuits. And we can also see that there are active routes learned which are inside the VRF. So we can drill down to it. And here you can see that these are the actual prefixes that have been learned inside the VRF. So this is all about the discovery thing of the ROA. Now let us go back to map. And before starting the use case, I just want to show that currently we are looking at the live snapshot of the ROA. But ROA does have a feature of recording the routes, and user can recording the snapshot, and user can go back in time and look at the snapshot at that particular time for the troubleshooting, right? So now for the first use case, which is latency-based rerouting, what I want to show is that the ROA acting as a PCE, where we are defining a policy for low latency, and ROA is calculating the route based on that policy, and we can take a decision to shift the tunnels based on the routes proposed by ROA. So for doing this, I just want to highlight that there are services configured between 5162.1 and 5162.2. So we have configured L2 VPN, we have configured L3 VPN between these two routers. Now, L3 VPN is essentially configured on 5162-3 as well, which is the purple color router here, Ciena 5162.3. So the L3 VPN is configured on 5162.3, 5162.1, and 5162.2. There is a 6PE service that is also configured on Ciena 5170 and Ciena 5162.2. And this is running IPv6 traffic over SRMPLS tunnel using BGP-LU. Now let us go to the tester and see these services, right? On the first tab, you can see that the L2 VPN service, which is running between 5162.2 and 5162.1, as I shown. There are other injected routes for the L3 VPN circuit, right? On the next tab, okay. On the next tab, you can see that the 6P service that I told, right? It is running between 5162.2 and 5171.1. And we have a binding SID policy that has been created, and it is attached to an end-to-end circuit, which is running on 5162.3 to 6500 PTS3. So this is an end-to-end service carried on LDP and MPLS domain, right? So look at the use case number 1 now. So for this use case, what I'm going to show you now is the policy that we have created using ROA, right? So this the route that is taking for the services currently is the route which is showing in orange. So this is also a IGP route at present, and it is a high latency route. But when we run the policy and when we recalculate the route, we will see that there is a low latency route available on the left hand side, which is going from 5162.1 to 5171. So this route will be calculated by ROA PCE, and then we will reroute the traffic on this route. So let us go to the services tab to look at the policy. So this is the services catalog where we can define the low latency path. So we already defined a policy named low latency path here. So let me click on this. So once you click on the policy, you can add the subscriber. This could be a different subscriber in the network scenario. This is the demo subscriber that we have created. And for this subscriber, I have created a path for 5162.1 and 5162.2 because this is the path we want to calculate between these two PE routers as the services are running between these two routers. So when I click on the path, here you can see that the ROA PC has calculated this route. Now this route can be labeled by configure delay, and we can see that there is a 5 microsecond delay for this path. The current path for this tunnel, as I mentioned, is taking the IGP path. So let us click on the IGP path. And here you can see that the current path of the tunnel is a high latency path, which is 100 microsecond. And ROA has given us the low latency path. So what we essentially doing here is we are optimizing the tunnel paths based on the policies defined for low latency. And we are shifting these tunnels from the high latency path to the low latency path, right? So we can do the provisioning now from here. So before clicking on provisioning, let's go to the tester and see for L3 VPN, are there any drop counts? So there are no drop counts. So now let's go back and provision. So as soon as I click on provision here, the ROA sends this route to MDSO because we are using MDSO here as a service orchestrator. And this route will be provisioned to the network using the resource adapter layer defined on MDSO. Now, as you see that this route has been provisioned, let's go back to tester and see if we can see any drop frames there. And as you can see, there are no drop frames because what we are implementing here is make before break. So we are making the tunnel and then we are shifting the tunnel to that path. So this is the first use case. Now let's go back to the map. Now in the second use case, what I'm trying to show you is the TI-LFA use case. TI-LFA use case runs on the FRR mechanism or algorithm, which caters the failure scenarios in SRMPLS. So for this use case, we are going to highlight this router which are in orange. So here the TILFA has been enabled. And the router that we are interested in from where we are going to trigger this is the 6500 PTS3 router. So if you can click on this router, we already I already shown you that there is a binding seat policy that has been that has been captured, and this has been attached to this service, end-to-end service. So this service is running from 6500 PTS3 to the 5162 router, which is showing in the purple color. At present, this service is taking the path from the upper side, from this path. And when I will break this link here between PTS1 and 6501, so the path will be taken from the lower side. So the TILFA will happen. So let's go to the node, log into the node. Let me log into the node, and I will show you the statistics on the node. So let me first clear the statistics on port number 7. And I will now see the statistics which are active. So here you can see that the traffic is coming in from port 1-1 and going out of port 7-1, while port 8-1 is showing one control plane traffic, right? I also want to show you the MPLS, SRM LPIP table, which is running. So this SR LPIP table is showing the binding SID ID, right, which is mapped to the primary and backup path. And we have a label stack which is going to push on the packets going through this tunnel, right? So let us look at the tester to see if there is any packet drop before making this port down. So this is spanning system. So at present there are no drop count, right? So let's go ahead and disable port 7.1. So once we disable port 7.1, we can see that the primary path has been gone now, and the traffic is now moving from backup path to the primary path, right? So if I run it one more time, it will only show you the backup path, which has become the primary path now. So this shows that the switchover happened. Now let's go back to the tester, and here you can see that there are 17 drop frames. That essentially means that I'm transmitting 3000 frames per second. So this means that there is a around 5 to 6 millisecond of switchover time that has been captured by the tester. So this shows this completes our second use case, which is TILFA use case. Now let's go back to the map. And what I want to highlight is that this is a complete brownfield scenario that I'm trying to show here, where we deliver SRMPLS failure mechanism with TILFA, as well as we shown the LDP and SR domain connected, and we are doing the LDP to SR mapping. So this concludes the demo.
Hey, thanks, Ramanand. That was a great demonstration. We showed an example of how we achieve closed loop automation with the CNR Adaptive IP portfolio, and we were also able to demonstrate TILFA, which is one of the major advantages of using SRT or SR-based traffic engineering. Now, with that, we conclude the session, and Vaishakhi, if you could look at the questions that has come up in the meanwhile.
Indeed, a gripping presentation, Mr. Putana as well as Mr. Panda. So with that, we move on to the last leg of the webinar where we open the platform to your questions. So the first question we have today from our attendees is, in practical terms, what difference will end users realize when being served through SDNS?
Sorry, the last wording was SD?
SDNS. So it's SDNs.
Okay.
SDN.
Oh, I believe this is SDN. Yeah, it's SDN.
Yeah.
Well, end of the day, every tool that we bring into networking, whether it is software-defined networking or virtualization or traffic engineering, the primary goal is to improve the quality of experience, right? End of the day, that's what matters. That's where we are operators and we are suppliers, and that's why we exist. Now, to increase the quality of experience, whatever tools that we have at our disposition, and one of the tools, as you mentioned, software-defined networking, that allows us to, improvise our way of doing networking, be it operational or be it designing a network, right? It definitely introduces efficacy into the operations, right? And when our operations are efficient, when we have rightful control mechanisms for operations, including traffic engineering, and the end result is increased or enhanced customer experience, right? Because we were able to guarantee SLAs, we are able to control the network based on our customers' expectations, and that's where the difference is. I mean, it's at the end of the day, as I said, it's all about quality of experience of our customers, right? Hope that answers the questions, but I did a better way.
Definitely, definitely. We have time to take one more questions today, so I'll quickly move on to our second question. So the second question goes out, how will the ROI for Siena's TE architecture be for telecom providers, and any significant cost benefits out of it?
So definitely. So we have quite a few deployments across the globe with ROA. So far ROA has been serving the networks good in terms of assurance point of view, because once the operator or the user, the telcos have a complete visibility of their IP network, and from an assurance perspective, they can further analyze those statistics that are discovered and that are available from an assurance port tool to take the best call possible in the network, right? To optimize the network in whatever way possible. And because you could identify the deficiencies, the lags, the best parts of the network, and accordingly can engineer the network for best performance, right? So that's where ROI counts best. And we have definitely quantitative analysis also available as to how much an operator benefits from deploying ROA. And in this SRT context or traffic engineering context, additional benefit is the path computation engine that comes along with the ROA, which saves n number of man hours in terms of calculating a path from a point A to point Z. You need bucket load of people sitting and calculating those traffic engineering paths. And of course, a centralized PCE like ROA that is embedded into ROA could help in saving those man hours and the cost. So, yeah.
Thank you for the answer. So with that, we come to the end of today's session. To sum up, newest technologies and its robust expansion strategy will definitely drive the network environment of tomorrow, and with it, our digital future. With that, I would like to thank both of our speakers once again today for your time and for sharing such valuable insights. Also, last but not the least, a very big thank you to our amazing audience for your active participation. Team Economic Times wishes you all safety, the best of health. Have a great weekend ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Thanks,
Thank you,
Vaishakhi. Thanks,
everyone.
the team. Thank you. Bye.